This is a story I've been putting off doing a video about because I wasn't a part of the group that organized this direct action. And though I do know a bit from the locals, I thought it would be best to do a little bit of research before talking about the specifics of this story. It starts in 2003 when a 10,000 square foot University Chrysler Plymouth dealership on West Franklin Street went abandoned. 8 years later, on the night of November 12, 2011, after a local anarchist book fair, a group called the Carborough Commune took over a long-abandoned Franklin Street building with the intention of turning it into a bustling community center that would operate free of charge to the local community. Obviously, this was something that would have been a boon to the local homeless populations and the working poor. This has to be the most meaningful thing ever to happen on the heels of an anarchist book fair that I've ever heard of. The police briefly show up on that first night, and the occupiers greet them with chants of ACAB, which according to an interview with the police at the time done by IndieWeek, the police had to look up what that meant, and they were very offended when they found out. Despite this, they immediately leave, giving the occupiers the feeling that they had the police's approval. After all, they didn't say a word. They just came and went as if there was no problem. With the police out of the way, the occupiers mobilized trucks to ship in pallets of water and a shipment of Indian food donated by a local restaurant interested in helping feed the community. They put up banners reading "Occupy Everything" and "Capitalism left this building for dead. We're bringing it back to life" in the windows and hung them from the roof. By that night, the once abandoned building was home to about 50 people, one of whom set up a computer and projector system to play capitalist critiques, and another handed out flyers to passers-by going to local restaurants and bars, explaining that this was an experiment as an extension of the Occupy Wall Street movement. Later into the night, there's a dance party to videos of Occupy Oakland's direct actions. All across the US, thousands upon thousands of commercial and residential spaces sit empty, while more and more people are forced to sleep in the streets, or driven deep into poverty while trying to pay the rent that increases without end. Chapel Hill is no different. This building has sat empty for years, gathering dust and equity for a lazy landlord hundreds of miles away, while rents in our town skyrocket beyond any service worker's ability to pay them, while the homeless spend their nights in the cold, while gentrification makes profits for developers right up the street. Their plans for the building included dividing the space into a free store, kitchen, clinic, performance space, school, workshop, library, and dormitory. In classic Chapel Hill style, a free yoga class on November 13th in the afternoon was the first use of the space, just before the arrests. This is what the police looked like when they showed up to deal with these aspiring community organizers in their community yoga class. From there, 8 protesters, 2 journalists, and a legal observer were detained and packed into a city bus with a Wells Fargo logo on the side. Protesters didn't like that at all. And that's where this story unfortunately ends. And I'm left wondering what could have happened if the police had never come back. What if this space had been redesigned by its community for its service and its good outside of the capitalist system? What if every city had one such space where one could be free of the binding force of capitalism? How many people would come to a place like that? How many people would come to love it? How many people would come to believe in it? This video has been an experiment to see what my channel might look like in a socialist utopia where the creators have the means of creation. But until we reach such a socialist utopia as that, at least here on BreadTube, in the meantime, you can throw me a couple dollars on Patreon so I could afford a really nice mic like the one you heard me using, or a computer with, I don't know, a functioning graphics card. Any of those things would help my channel tremendously, as would liking, commenting, and subscribing if you haven't already. Thank you. Thank you for getting this far in the video. Have a great day.